Welcome, everyone, to Stories Across the Table podcast. I'm your co host, Steve Ramona, with my wonderful, incredible co host, Bridget Cook-Burch. Next time, I got to have her start so she can tell people how wonderful I am. I'm just kidding. I love introducing her. But before we start, I'm so excited. I almost dropped the card. I want to start with a little gratitude because we're going to dive into something really serious. But at the end, you're going to see it's a beautiful ending, I think, and great for all of you to hear. So here's our gratitude for today. Let me remind you, you are a gift to this world. And I've got to say, Bridget, that fits our guest so appropriately.
Absolutely perfectly today. She is a gift, and her story is a gift, as you're about to find out. And the book she's been writing is a gift as well. Welcome, Allicia. We're so happy to have you on Stories Across the Table.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's humbling.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, Alicia, it's really interesting. Like our podcast brings in people from all different backgrounds and walks of life, and everyone has a unique story, and they don't always know it. But you've known since you were a child that you had a very unique story. And if anyone were to get to know you, they would have to know this story in order to understand you. It's affected your entire life in negative ways, but also in beautifully positive ways. So if you were to meet someone for the first time and they're like, Alicia, tell me about you. What do I get to know about you? What is the story you would have to tell them?
Oh, goodness. Which part of the story? Things change so much now. I'm Allicia Johnson Niles, and I got to add the Niles on when I was 46 years old, 6 years ago. Thank you very much. Long time coming. When I got married during COVID. My main story, though, is I am the surviving daughter of Lieutenant Junior Grade Burr and Johnson III, who was killed by homicide in the U.S. Navy in Pearl Harbor when I was 2 years old. I'm an advocate for pretty much anybody who's gone through trauma, but primarily for people, little kids, their parents, and especially lately, people who have grown up longing to have a relationship with those who have passed away. Not in a woo-woo, let's burn, incense kind of way, although there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just more of people who want to have a connection and also want validation that there is nothing wrong with them if they still feel the pain of loss, because there is, in my opinion, there is a sickness going around that grief ends or that love ends, and there's nothing that could be further from the truth. So I'm trying to bring that narrative forward, and also, bottom line, I want to validate people's right to grieve, to have that connection with their loved ones who have passed away, and to know that they're normal.
Yeah.
So
it's beautiful. Jump into the book. I got to meet this wonderful lady today, and I'm so excited that I got to meet her. Her story and your resilience is off the charts. Tell us what inspired the book and why you and Bridget started writing the book.
Which side should we go with, Bridget? I got to start with the spiritual side. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I felt for years, well, actually, there were a couple big events that just pretty much told me that it's what I needed to do. I couldn't run from it. Yeah, I mean, I grew up having these anxieties. I didn't know it was anxiety till years later when I was diagnosed. I was well into my 30s when I was actually diagnosed with CPTSD, anxiety, things like that. I just thought I was broken and there was something inherently wrong with me. And that, anyway, I was afraid of everything. But I also had these experiences growing up where, well, there's this kind of juxtaposition going on with me. I was very, very happy that my dad died when I was 2, because I was so grateful that I didn't remember the knock at the door, because there was nothing more horrifying, more terrifying to me than losing a loved one, because, oh my goodness, how could I handle that grief? And so there was that. And then there was also the societal, in my mind, I think it's pretty general, where it's just like, oh, you didn't know him, you're so lucky. Oh, you're so lucky you didn't remember him. Oh my goodness. But I'd have these feelings that I couldn't explain. I couldn't understand why I was afraid of everything. And I would feel like, I'd hear a couple songs and I'd feel like daddy, but I'm like, no, I don't remember him. Really long story short, I started to feel him around and I started to recognize it, and he started to make himself known. And I got to the point after many years of experience where I could tell when he wanted me to do something. I stopped fighting it and I'm just like, okay, daddy, what do you want? Or else like I'd go to church and I'd hear his 2 funeral hymns played back to back. I'm like, what? So I'd feel his guidance. And then I telling a very, very long story, but it's what got me to write the book was a few years after I had a very, very crazy year of researching my dad's death. I had a guy who told me, you have every right to miss your dad. You have every right to grieve him, because his mom had just passed away. And I was trying to date this guy and I'm like, you're cool. And I don't want to like turn you off or anything. So yeah, my dad died, but I don't have any memories and it's okay. And he's the one who's just like, you have every right to miss him because I have memories of my mom. You don't have memories of your dad. And by the way, what really happened to him? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, well, maybe you should find out. So I started doing some digging. That's when my tenacity really kicked in, which I was tenacious my whole life, come to find out. But I reached out to the Navy. They said no. And I went through a solid year of serious digging, getting in contact with my dad's friends. And that year ended with a lot of amazing connections. And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, all right. Well, great. I'm glad I got some answers. I didn't get them all, whatever. And then about 4 years later, things kept coming up. And I kept having this thought, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. And then, Bridget, what part of this do I tell?
Just go ahead and tell this, because it's just nuggets anyway. They'll figure it out from the book.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, will there be editing in this? I forgot to ask that.
Just go. Just run.
Okay.
You're good.
All right. Do I talk about my faith or not in specifics, Bridget? Yes.
Yeah, you talk
okay.
about the fact that you're a deep Christian and that this
I'm a
is
Christian.
absolutely.
I had
who you
somebody
are.
pray over me, or I had a blessing. Which one do I say?
You're live, so you say both of them. You just tell your truth.
I didn't know we're live. Oh my gosh. Well, surprise, y'all. I'm a Latter-day Saint. And I had somebody give me a blessing that told me to write the book. So I am blushing for those of you who can't see. Yeah, it was this guy he's in my congregation, and I was going through a really, really rough time, and I kept having this thought that I needed to write a book. And he showed up on my doorstep to give my roommate a blessing, and I kind of laughed and I'm like, well, can I get in line? And at this point in time, I'd put my dad's pictures away. I'm like, I'm turning people off. I don't want my past. I don't want, my connection with my dad to get in the way of my futures. Because here I was in my mid-30s. I was almost 40 years old, and I'm just like, I'm broken. Bye, Dad. You're gone. And so this guy from church, I just told him, like, I've had these cool experiences with my dad, but I'm moving on. He's like, okay, cool. But literally like an hour before, I had been toying with the idea about writing a book because I've always been a good writer. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do it. So this guy, as he's giving me this blessing, he said, you've had these experiences with your dad. It's a gift. You need to accept it. And they're going to continue. And then it said, the Lord requires that you document these experiences to help your family and others. I'm like, oh, okay. And
he
then
was a stranger. You didn't even know him.
I knew him casually at church. Just, yeah, I mean, yeah, I knew him super casually at church, and he was a guy that a lot of people looked up to. And the crazy thing is, our leader of our congregation, my roommate was supposed to have a blessing the night before because she was going through a lot, which I didn't know about because we weren't that close, but she was supposed to have a blessing the night before. And then the leader of our congregation was just like, you know what, go over and give her one tonight. And I was sitting on the couch. It was just a very, you know, and do I think the book would have been written without that? Probably, but at the same time, it was nice to have that, like, boom. Allicia, in case you're wondering, I'm not letting you get away with not doing this. So it's, and then I'm like, all right, God, what's next? All right, God, all right, Daddy, what's next? Boom, 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 boom. Do this, do this, do this. I mean, and that's been a really common thread with my entire experience, right, Bridget? You picked up what
Yes. Incredible. I would like for you to give the listeners one of those incredible experiences where you felt a specific nudge and then you talk to a shipmate and it turns out to be quite miraculous, something you would have never known.
Okay, I'm trying to think of the ones that are not in the book.
You could do one that's in the book,
Can I do
Allicia.
ones in the
Like I
book?
said, yes, you give some specifics.
Okay. Tony Gusty?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's the one that came to my mind. So I had done a lot of research, like, you know, I was on ancestry.com, plug there, not connected, whatever. And I got in contact with a lot of people, and it was amazing the response that is still happening, which is weird. But no, so I thought I got the answers that I needed that I was going to get. And then one night I kept having this thought, like, you need to contact the men who are on the ship. It was my dad talking. You need to contact the men on my ship from the ship when I was killed.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, I knew enough by that point that these men, like the ones that remembered, I mean, the wardroom was a teeny tiny little room and he was shot with a shotgun. It wasn't pretty. And so anyway, I'd had these little thoughts, like, it kept bugging me. So then I go to church and there's the first hymn playing in church. I'm like, leave me alone. Then I walk down the hall, there's the second hymn. I'm like, okay, fine. So I like this thought, and this is actually a free chapter on my website, so I'm not giving away a lot, but it just said Weghorst, Weghorst hasn't handled it well. Weghorst, he hasn't handled it well. I'm like, okay, sure. Because I remember reading his name on the list. And then I did my little, let's dig in, let's track these people down like the stalker that I was. And I called them up and I'm like, this is Burr Johnson's daughter. And he got really quiet and he's just like, okay. And he ended up saying, you know what? I was released on medical leave, on medical discharge because of what happened. I have not recovered from it. I can't talk about it and you shouldn't hear what happened. All right. Okay. Check one. And then I kept having this thought, okay, more, keep going. Boom, boom, went down the list and I didn't get in contact with all of them. And I finally got to this one. It was like Tony Gusty. Now, as I was doing my research and my reading and really digging in, Tony Gusty, come to find out, was the guy who tried to save my dad's life. He helped my dad. He tried to stop the bleeding. And I had tried to find him before. He was at the top of my list, actually. And anyway, through some guidance and everything like that, I finally got someone who answered the phone in Arizona, and he's just like, oh, you want to talk to my dad? I'm like, I'm looking for the Tony Gusty who served on the Richard S. Edwards in Pearl Harbor. Oh, yeah, that's my dad. He gets on the phone, starts sobbing as soon as he finds out. And I haven't cried about this for a while.
You're okay. Let it out.
It was the most horrifically healing experience of my life. I found out what my dad's last words were. I mean, and I actually ended up getting to meet him, and he passed away. I can't remember how long ago, but he had cancer. But I got to meet him in person. I'm still friends with his family.
Are you okay saying what his last words were?
I'm fine. Said I'm fine.
Wow.
Tony kept saying, Burr, are you okay? Are you okay? And then, he's like, I'm fine. And then Tony started sobbing and he's like, and he wasn't. And I knew he wasn't. This conversation was so charged. Like, he hadn't talked to anybody about the details.
But he not only healed you, you healed Tony.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling, this beauty of this, right? The healing went
Yeah.
both ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, there was more to the story with Tony and his family. I mean, again, like I said, I'm still in contact with them. And before
And
he died,
he had never told his wife, he had never spoken to anybody about what he'd endured, losing one of his very dearest friends. And so Allicia reaching out, like you said, Steve, this was very healing for him because he could finally tell the truth about it, let it go, let it, not be a part of his everyday experience. There's something very powerful about speaking words of trauma and letting them go, as Allicia has discovered, but she was that
Yeah.
gift to Tony.
And
I did find
Allicia,
out. Oh,
I would
I
just
did
say,
find.
God bless you, because your dad, Bird, and Tony are up dancing in heaven because
Oh,
you did that. That is it's a vision I know a lot of people can't get. That's what popped in my head as you're telling the story. Is they're smiling, they're dancing, they're whatever they enjoy doing, they're doing it again.
well,
Yeah.
actually, can I share another bit of like this is
Yeah.
I don't. So when Bridget and I started writing, this is another thing that is really, I mean, it was one miracle after another. Because I mean, snowball's chance in hell that the two of us would connect. And she invited me to her first retreat. And I went to her first retreat, and she's sitting there talking about Rebecca Musser and how she felt her ancestors surrounded her. I'm like, oh, well, I know what that's like. And I was kind of kidding. I mean, this is me shooting for the stars here, okay? Because I'd written my book, but I knew that it wasn't where it needed to be, and I didn't know how to get it out there. And I'm sitting there going, all right, God, fine. If she's my co-author, I want my angels to talk to her. Because I kind of kept having this feeling, it's like, what if, what if? And so we had a little conversation, the retreat ended, and then I went up a couple weeks later for what I thought was going to be one of our last meetings because, she's a renowned consultant and I had no money. And she's like, well, you know what? I'm going to get whatever I can and take her guidance and everything. And so I get up there and we're sitting there and she's talking and going over a few things. And I'm going, what are you talking about? And out of the blue, she's like, you know what? I had a dream about your dad last night. I'm like, okay. And she's like, yeah. And what did you say? Do you remember, Bridget?
I just remember the nudge I got that was so strong that I was to work with you and that we were to write his story together.
Okay, but you said something like he says he's excited about what we're doing, but there's a lot more that we need to do, or something like that. I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
okay,
right. I'd
yeah,
forgotten about that, Allicia. That's right. He did. He's like, she's only dug to the very surface. There's a lot that needs to be done.
yeah. And I'm sitting here going, she hasn't said anything yet. And then she's like, what does Tony Gusty look like? And I pull out the picture. She's like, oh yeah, he was there too. I'm like, and I'm like sheepishly ask her, I'm like, well, so can I
And
ask
a
you
red
something?
balloon. And a red balloon. Don't ask me why, but
Red balloon?
for some reason, Tony Gusty and your dad, every once in a while, a red balloon. But
Noted. Okay, I'm gonna start watching for that. No, Tony has been like since he passed. I saw him because I see them. It's not like I see angels all the time. I see dead people. No, just kidding. But I like pictured him dressed in khakis or something like that. And I was talking to his granddaughter. She's like, "That's what he wore all the time." And like he's a very stern, protective guardian angel. And but anyway, I just asked Bridget. I'm just like, am I your co-author or are you my co-author? And she's like, well, I guess we have to be, huh? And I was just like, oh, fangirl. But still, it
Yeah.
was, but wait, back to answer your question. Yeah, those are some moments where I definitely felt him around. So,
so Allicia, and I'd love for Steve to know this. And by the way, for any of you listening, Steve Ramona, my co-host, is absolutely fabulous. So I'm just going to put a plug in for him doing business with a servant's heart. He's done over 965 probably podcasts by this time,
oh,
and
wow.
chooses to do this incredible, extraordinary work with me. And he is a godsend. So check out his podcast, Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. But I want to share, Allicia, like you discovered here you had CP PSD, the complex PTSD. You had this high level of anxiety, and yet you chose to go up against the US Navy, to go up against your extended family's like very concrete fear. They didn't want you to do this. You had to go up against someone who had connections in the White House, who said that, you know, people would die if you continued to investigate. And you chose to research your father's killer and find out the truth. All of this with anxiety. And one of the reasons I think this book is so incredible, your story is so incredible, what you bring to the world is so incredible, is, you know, since COVID, there's been a lot of people, an entire generation, who have been living under a heavy veil of intense anxiety and fear. And you emulate this unlikely courage, this moral courage as well, to be able to despite your fears, to find the truth and to be able to serve other people through that truth. Tell us, like, what grew inside of you as you, that determined person, right? The bulldog. What happened inside of you to make you face all of these fears?
I didn't have any choice. Honestly, part of it, it was always there. Like, I knew even growing up that, like, I've always been a little bit tenacious. If I wanted something bad enough, nothing was going to stop me. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to be like, it's always been there, but at the same time, it has. And if it's important enough. And this whole thing, I kind of look back and I'm like, was that really in my life? Would I do it again? Of course I would. I'm like, I don't know. It's weird because it doesn't seem that big of a deal to me, and yet sometimes it still kind of does, because there's the people pleaser side of me, which is enormous, or I'm just like, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to, you know, I'm not important enough, whatever. Oh, what was me? But with that, I just knew that I had to. It's like, if there was a way to make that happen, I wasn't gonna stop. Even my dad's friends, we were in DC, and they're like, Allicia, when are you gonna stop? I'm just like, when I'm ready, when it's done. And let me tell you, I mean, a little plug for the book. It was, Bridget, did you expect it to go on where it went with the whole
No,
Hawaii and yeah,
nope. Oh, I
but
think there were so many twists and turns even in writing the book. So, you know, every author goes on a hero's journey as they're writing a story of their earlier hero's journey, but hers was the most intense that I have ever encountered, because the book was still happening as she was writing it. And we didn't expect that. We thought we were going to have some cut and dry historical things and some colorful characters that were her father's friends. Wow, were we both just so wrong. There was conspiracy, there was cover up, there was you know, the wild stories, there were the family stories, there were the Navy stories, and you persevered through all of them. So what would you say to a listener who struggles with anxiety, who struggles with PTSD? What would you help them with? What would you suggest for them?
the first thing I'm going to tell them is don't wait until it's gone to do something, because when I was flying out to come to find out meet my husband, I'm a nervous flyer. And I sat next to this doctor and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna overcome my fear of flying. And he just calmly kind of put his hand on my hand and he's just like, you're not going to, and that's okay. Like, you're not gonna overcome it, but you're gonna live with it, basically. So I would tell him, like, don't wait till the fear goes away, because it's not going to. And just know that the answer is no unless you ask. It's going to stay the same unless you do something about it.
Right.
And not to sound cheesy, but miracles do follow. They're always there. And, you know, even if the answer ends up being no, at least you know for sure it's no, so you stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this is beautiful, Bridget. We're coming to the end. We actually did overtime, which is okay, because that means the story's amazing, which it is. I'm going to do something amazing to tie to that. Audience, if you stayed to the end, which I hope you did, because you're going to get rewarded. So the first 5 people that reach out to me or Bridget and mention Allicia was on our podcast or the name of the podcast, I will send you Allicia's book for free so you can learn how to handle grief and resilience. And just she can teach you through her book. I will get your contact information in a second, but just mention that and I will take care of you and send you a book through Amazon, whatever. We'll get all that for you. Let's end with a fun question, Allicia, because it's been pretty serious, but I tell you what, you've changed my life. And I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate everything you've done. You're helping others. But let's go to where you live, find your favorite restaurant. Me and Bridget are going to come eat with you. I'm going to get a table. I want you to invite 3 people who've been influential in your life, whether dead or alive, doesn't matter.
Okay.
And for me and Bridget, because we're foodies, what food would you order for the table?
Oh goodness, I'm trying to think. I'm like, where I'm currently living, where I'm hosting here in the South. Is that what we're talking about?
It could be
There you
there or
go.
somewhere else, some childhood or just any restaurant that you like.
Oh, I'm such a foodie. Let me think.
Oh, good.
Okay. If you're gonna come here, that's kind of hard to say because there's
First one
these.
that pops in your head. Don't
Okay,
overthink it. First
don't
one.
overthink it. Okay. Buckner's, good old Southern cooking, and
Okay.
it's a if you don't come with 10 people, then they will put people at the table with you. So it's a lazy Susan. They bring the food. It's like a lazy person's buffet, and it is the best Southern food. All of my guests, we bring them to Buckner's, and it is just like people in the South are big for a reason. So
Love it.
it's,
So who are you inviting?
oh, who am I inviting? My dad is hosting, so apparently he's not invited. Apparently, because he likes to be. The congressman who helped us,
Mm-hmm.
and Candace,
Mm-hmm.
gonna invite them.
What about the
And
naval?
yes, but I'm not going to say his name or anything like that. But yes, the
That's
one
fine.
who really, I don't. Yeah, I want to leave that for the book. But
Amen. No,
so
that's fine.
yeah, my
And
3 heroes. My 3 heroes who I could not have made this happen without. Besides Bridget,
There
of
you
course,
go.
but yeah, like as far as like getting everything done, I couldn't have made it, wouldn't have happened without them.
well,
Yep. And the
again,
truth comes out in her book. It's amazing. It's
yeah,
amazing. Go
and
ahead.
I can't wait to read it. No, Bridget, any last words before she tells us how to get the book?
Well, we're looking for an agent right now for the book. Allicia would like to traditionally publish. And so she's been looking for the perfect agent to come. And the book's been written. Now it's a matter of getting it off the ground. So we're super excited. You will be able to find it. It's called Angel in Arlington. And it's her unique story, her memoir of unlikely courage, and it will knock your socks off. So thanks for asking. But Allicia, how can they follow you? How can they become a part of your journey as you're doing this?
You can get a free copy of that chapter on angelinarlington.com. There's unlikelycourage.com and Instagram on Unlikely Courage. That's something that just kind of came up as Bridget and I were working. So you can do that. And yeah, I mean, and we're open to publishers too, right, Bridget? Not just an agent, but publishers.
Absolutely. Anyone who recognizes the magnitude of this story, we would love to talk with you. So fantastic.
It's a
Well done, Allicia.
beautiful title. It's when you said it,
Mhm.
Allicia and Bridget, I got goosebumps. So I think I'm feeling your dad in my aura here too. So
He's
thank you.
noisy.
Well, that's okay. If he
He
keeps
is
me on
noisy. He
track.
will reach out. Yeah. Bridget, that was another the title was something that we just gone on a retreat. And I'm like, the title that we have is wrong. And Bridget, I said, it has to have Arlington. And she's like, Angel in Arlington. I'm like, that's it.
Nailed it. Yeah, that's
Anyway.
great. Well, Allicia, thank you again for taking the time and being so open with our audience. Audience, subscribe to YouTube channel, to the podcast, because if you know somebody grieving or needs help with family trauma, like Allicia started the show with, share this podcast with them. It's truly a gift. I got a gift today I didn't even expect from Allicia. Can you imagine when you share it out to other people? So let's go ahead and do that, because you're going to make the world a better place when you do that. So, and me, Bridget, Allicia, want to thank you all for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Stories Across the Table podcast. Have a wonderful day, everybody.